Welcome. 50% of your leagues are still active, but 90% of our audience are in the fantasy football playoffs. That's what the advanced metrics say, at least. And we're going to live by it. These are your running back rankings here for week 15. We're going to go through 40 names today. I have 36 down. We're going to add 4 more on top of it. All right. We'll kick things off at number 1. We wondered if it could just be the case despite these injury and concerns of the calf issue lingering for Christian McCaffrey. But here we are, Hayden, 15 weeks later, he's running back 1 against the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I don't know when he's going to get injured. The people that are predicting this, I would like to know when it's going to happen. Until that it does, he's either first or second every single week. And right now he's 123 total yards in the pick'em lobby. He faces Jeffrey Simmons. I don't love that, but Christian McCaffrey could do everything through the air, off the tackle. And the 49ers are second in projected points all the way up at 28.5.
This is from NFL Plus. Since week 8, his 38% clip and 40 total missed tackles forced lead all running backs across the NFL. And the Titans have allowed 716 yards from missed tackles so far this year. That's the 10th most in the league. So CMC, running back, and wide receiver points. We love to see it. Jahmyr Gibbs is your running back 2. This is at the LA Rams. Hit me with your best Jahmyr Gibbs stat or matchup here.
I just posted the chart. He's so far up and to the right that there's like really nothing else we can say. He's had like 35 fantasy points more times than not in the last 2 months. Dan Campbell absolutely loves him. He's going to be the first overall pick. It'll probably be him versus Jamar Chase, depending on the league formats next year. He's at 120 and a half total yards right now.
He's gained 482 yards before contact this season. That's the most in the NFL. Again, from NFL Pro, a lot of that is coming from the right side. They've produced 2.4 yards before contact per design carry. That's the second most in the league since at least 2018.
Todd Gurley.
So 7 years. That is Penei Sewell and rookie Tate Ratledge on that side of the ball. I think the only other team to do it actually was 2022 Buffalo Bills, if I'm
interesting.
Not.
Okay. Yeah. Usually when I can see your running back stats in 2018, I'm like, that was probably Todd Gurley.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, Devon Achane, one of the undersung, underrated, and maybe no longer superstars in the league in terms of people recognizing his ability, because it is insane. And on top of that, the blocking in front of him has been quite nice. Hopefully he is healthy and ready for this one on the road at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
2 names to know. I keep saying it. Left tackle Patrick Paul, center Aaron Brewer. These guys get out in space. They're kind of mauler types too, but just everything to the perimeter. In some of the inside runs, Devon Achane's like patience has gotten better. That spin move that he had on that safety for an explosive last week was so sick. So he's dealing with a rib injury. He said he was going to play. Right now, the Dolphins have a chance to make the playoffs, so I do think they'll rush him back. Every game is important. Like they're not mathematically eliminated. That's the only thing that matters.
Less than 1%, but you know. We still
mathematically, AI says they could do it. Yeah, AI can spit out a good way to get in.
Any concern about their team total this week only being at 19.25? I mean, we are talking about on the road at night in Pittsburgh here.
Sure, but the Steelers have allowed the 4th highest run rate in neutral situations this month, and they're missing a defensive tackle right now. So the Steelers defense is like mediocre.
And if the weather's bad, then they probably won't pass, and they'll probably just run the football more.
Right. And if they're losing, then what do? Swing pass, Devon Achane touchdown,
Love it. Derrick Henry, your running back 4. This is at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Ravens this week projected for 26.5 points. Derrick Henry again surpassed 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. This might be the highest he's been ranked prior to the week for you in quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, the team total is so nasty, and we're talking about the Bengals defense here. So they're getting run over by everybody. They can't tackle. So it really just comes down to like how much do we trust the Ravens offense? And compared to the rest of the league, I still trust them more than a lot of other teams. So I don't think this is the same version of Derrick Henry, but he is the RB6 on RB3 usage this month, and the Ravens haven't even been great this past month. So he's like too big to fail in every single way.
Some interesting stats here, and it shows how different his rushing this year has been in comparison to 2024. Inside the 10-yard line, this is from the worksheet, Henry has a 37% success rate. That's 33rd among all running backs. Last year, he was number 1 in the NFL. In this same matchup, he only touched the ball 11 times for 104 yards and a touchdown against the Bengals back in week 13. And Harbaugh got a lot of, and Monken, hate let's say, for not giving the football more. So maybe
Right.
they've been in the lab and said, hey, against this Bengals defense, albeit it has slightly improved, let's give Derrick Henry the rock a bit more often.
Yeah, they're going to run the ball like crazy.
James Cook, you're running back 5. This is at the New England Patriots against that Bengals defense. Last week, 20 touches, 111 yards. And on a different day, it could have been so much better because he also had 2 fumbles to his name.
Yeah, those were 2 tragic fumbles. But what do you do against the Patriots? Most teams decide to run the ball. So this month, they are second lowest in neutral pass rate. So 35% of the time they pass the ball. The rest of the time, in neutral situations, teams are deciding to run the ball. That's what the Buffalo Bills have been doing as well. They're 8th in projected points. Despite the fumbles, he's still on pace for a huge week this time around.
Milton Williams, without him, Patriots allowing 4.8 yards per carry, 27th in the league, 56% success rate against the run. That's 25th in the league. And you can kind of feel it on a weekly basis. So they open the season, in those opening 10 or so weeks is one of the best run defenses. So we will see if the Bills can take advantage of that. I know Deion Dawkins returned last week. I'm not sure about Spencer Brown this week at right tackle. Alec Anderson filled in at that spot last week. All right, Bijan Robinson is your running back 6. This is at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is on Thursday night. We already got it confirmed that there is no Drake London. Also, Kyle Pitts is questionable. So it might be the only true offensive player left on this team is Bijan.
Sometimes the offense gets so bad, though, that you want like some talent around him to, like eventually score some touchdowns. So that's like where we're kind of at with Bijan. Team total is at 20 points. It's Tampa Bay. Everyone knows it's a pass funnel. We have felt that with the Bijan numbers against Tampa Bay in particular. So his last couple games, 24 rushing yards, no touchdowns, 63 yards, no touchdowns, 61 yards, no touchdowns, and then 34 yards with the score. Those are not normal Bijan numbers. In those games, he had to catch 6, 7, 3, and 5 passes in them. So dump offs for Bijan Robinson is kind of the way to attack them. But right now, it is a mismatch, offensive line versus defensive line.
These teams played each other all the way back in week 1. He carried the ball 12 times for 24 yards. And on the season, Tampa Bay, 30% of running back runs against them have gone for 5 yards or more. That is the 3rd best rate in the NFL. So these Bijan explosives will be very difficult to do this week. But he was able to really get going in the passing game in week 1. And I believe Servassier Dennis might be out for this one too for the Buccaneers. And so they're already questionable at that spot, and even more so without Dennis. And so maybe that's the pathway for Bijan. Ooh, as you talk and respond to what I just said, I'm going to look up Bijan's receiving totals here out of the back.
I just wanted to say, last week I went back and watched the Vita Vea tape. He is still an absolute joy to watch. I mean, he is like, when he tackles these running backs, he is just like completely throwing them around. It's insane what he does.
Right. My favorite pick of the week, Bijan Robinson, higher 37.5 receiving yards. We've actually seen him lined up at wide receiver in some of these with manufactured tunnel screens and of the like. So I wouldn't be surprised if he hits that number on Thursday. Travis Etienne is your running back 7. This is against the New York Jets. I mean, this is one of the most laughable spreads of the weekend. The Jaguars projected for 27 points and are projected to beat the Jets by 12.5.
It sounds like it's going to be Brady Cook at quarterback on the other side here. So game script's going to be in Travis Etienne's favor. They're 4th in projected points as a team. If you guys haven't heard, Quinshon Williams is now a Dallas Cowboy, no longer a New York Jet. And they've just been getting gashed repeatedly without Quinshon Williams. That makes sense. Travis Etienne almost got every single touch last week because Bashal Tuten fumbled on special teams early on. And then going into halftime on his second carry of the game, he fumbled and did not play on offensive snap afterwards. He was still playing special teams, so he was like pretty much bench. We'll see if that's going to happen. I think they're going to get Tuten back out there in this one, but in the meantime, Travis Etienne's like really just like not making very many mistakes right now, and more times than not, he's been a top 12 finishing running back right now. So I think this is like the best it's looked before the game has kicked off, and I do think the offense feels just more cohesive with Brian Thomas back in the vertical role, and then Jacoby Myers and Brendan Strange both healthy over the middle.
Chase Brown is your running back 8. This is against the Baltimore Ravens, a horrific Ravens defensive performance last week, especially really trying to cover running backs in the flats. I mean, Jalen Warren untouched for a long score. Kenny Gainwell had some others too. Chase Brown last week, 2 touchdowns kind of saved his day. He's down to about 65% of the work. So I'm wondering if they'll be able to run as many plays as they did last week. And if not, the Chase Brown stuff can hit, but it also, we might get more Samaje Perine if they're trailing in this game.
I will say there's a pretty big drop off from like the 7th running back. There's not that much of a difference in like the running back 16 in my ranking. So this is a pretty flat tier. I'll probably move these guys around by Sunday, but Chase Brown in the last month, he's the running back 13 on running back 13 usage. Since they got rid of Jake Browning, Chase Brown has been a top 10 running back this week. The Browns are 9th in projected points. And like you said, the Ravens defense is like fine, but it's not like a terrifying defense because Madubuike has been out and he's going to be retired if he hasn't already announced it. So I think Burrow's playing well. If T. Higgins can't get clear, they're just like running out of options to get the ball to. And Chase Brown's definitely used in the receiving game still.
Next is Kyren Williams. He's your running back 9. He's actually running back 15 in consensus rankings. Explain that one.
Well, probably the Blake Corum game. I just think like nothing's really changed over the last couple months. Blake Corum's been in a 50-50 drive rotation the entire time, and it just has not mattered that much for Kyren Williams because the Rams keep hanging up 30s and 40s every week. So like they're expected to do that again. Their first in projected points, projected for 31. We can cut that somewhat in half, and I still like what Kyren Williams is going to do. This is going to be a shootout game, dome environment. Most of the rest of the league's projected for like 20 points. Like he's projected for freaking 31. So, I mean, the 6 games since the bye, he's averaging 15 half PPR points, which is right around this RB 9, 10, 11 range. So yeah, Blake Corum can get home, or Kyren Williams could be the guy that scores 2 long touchdowns here.
It doesn't really make sense to me with a team total of 31 points why Kyren would be running back 15 in consensus rankings and Blake Corum all the way down as running back 35 in consensus rankings. I know he's, and we'll talk about when we get down to Blake Corum, but yeah, to me, this is an environment where I would play both of these guys ahead of some other quote unquote running back ones for other teams, because again, the Rams are very good. And they can have success on both of these players' drives. And then I understand they throw the ball quite a bit inside the 10-yard line, but we should probably expect at least 4 to 5 touchdowns in this game.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the Rams offense like more likely to score 40 than 20. So like let's adjust everybody all the way up. Colby Parkinson's popping into my models.
Wow. Bucky Irving, running back 10 against the Atlanta Falcons. Tampa Bay, averaging 4.4 yards per play over the last 7 games. That's 31st in the NFL. Stinky. Says, like a baby's diaper. Stinky. Yeah. That has been a trickle down from Baker Mayfield to Emeka Egbuka to all of these players. Now, in these last few weeks, they've gotten Bucky Irving back. They're getting Mike Evans back. They're getting Jalen McMillan. They got Chris Godwin back. So on and so forth. So maybe it rights itself here in a primetime spot on Thursday Night Football.
Just trying to pay attention to the offensive line injuries. Ben Bredesen just went to injured reserve. That's their left guard. So there'll be backup guards at both spots. And then Tristan Wirfs missed last game. I think that he's going to play in this one, but we'll have that updated on Thursday night. So yeah, the team total's above average, 24.5 points. That feels right to me. Bucky did only play 49% of the snaps, only led to 10.5 expected half PPR points last week. But he lost some snaps to Rachaad White late in the game. I was trying to find like this like Bucky Irving injury type of thing, and he was just like, he was playing, it just not every single snap. Like he would like rotate a full series and it was just not playing out there. So I think like we're not going to get crazy bell cow Bucky Irving, but the Falcons are light in the shorts and the team total is really strong. So and then also, but Bucky Irving's been the running back 8 per game this season. Like we have to go all the way back to week 1 and whatnot, but he belongs in this tier.
I will say the way to beat up Atlanta, because they still do a very good job against passing offenses, is to run the freaking football right at them. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucs do try to do that with multiple players, though. If you are anything like me, you wait until the last minute to get certain people in your family gifts. It can be extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, even sometimes parents, grandparents. I have the perfect one for all of you. Yes, bang! It's the Aura Carver matte frame. The cool thing about Aura is everything's online. You can just straight upload from your phone pictures into this frame. One, your parents, grandparents, whatever, will not annoy you any longer to say, hey, send me a photo of your child, my grandchild, so on and so forth. And 2, I mean, you can even look at this. Take off this slide it's already set up perfectly to just be wrapped. It looks nice. It has free unlimited photo storage. Again, as soon as you take a photo of, let's say, your kid's soccer game, or man, they take their first steps, boom, upload to your Aura frame, and they see it instantly from their living room. It's going to turn to like their favorite activity just to see the new photos every single morning. So for a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code The Show at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code The Show. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Saquon Barkley is your running back 11. This is against the Las Vegas Raiders. From the worksheet, first time in his career that he has gone back-to-back weeks without a catch. The 52-yarder, we know that he scored on Monday Night Football, was off a tush-push fake. So I think you could argue that is difficult to replicate every single week. Now, with that said, maybe you can do whatever you would like against this Las Vegas Raiders team, as once again, this is an outlandish spread. The Eagles projected for 24.5 points and expected to beat the Raiders by 11.
It sounds like Kenny Pickett is going to start on the other side here, so game script should be finally on Saquon Barkley's time, which we haven't said in forever because the Eagles' offense, they're always in just these close games. But like you said, the offensive line is still a massive problem. His 20 other carries, aside from that tush-push variant, had a 25% success rate, 20 carries for 69 yards. Landon Dickerson, halfway through the game, limped off to the sideline. When he came back in, he did not look like himself. The right guard is a complete statue, Tyler Steen, and the tight end still can't block. So I don't know if any of that's going to get really fixed here, but it's also the Raiders who have nothing to play for. They currently have the best odds of having the first overall pick. Team total is up versus where it has been. So hopefully they can get some momentum going for Saquon here.
Have you checked his projection in the pick 'em lobby here?
Is that 99?
102 and a half total yards, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he has not hit that in a while, and like he has a potential to hit it with a like huge drive, but not like consistent level stuff. So it's like all explosives if we're going to get there.
Okay. The other pick I'm going to make is 17 and a half higher on his rushing for his longest carry, I should say.
Okay.
I think
I would rather do that than the 102 total yards. I would rather just do the longest carry.
I think he's going to get fed this week. Raiders have allowed top 10 scoring weeks to Quinshon Judkins, Kamani Vidal, and RJ Harvey over the last 3 weeks. Again, you can play on Underdog with me right now if you want to. Use promo code The Show. Click the link in the description down below. Just overall, we're in over 40 states. If you care more about sides and totals and everything of the like, prediction markets in over 20 states, including you people, the fine people of Florida, Texas, Georgia, California, Oregon, Washington pretty soon, all these places. So again, if you play an Underdog, use promo code The Show or click the link in the description. Play $5 your first time. We'll match it. We'll give you $75 in bonus cash in your direction. RJ Harvey, speak of the devil. He's running back 17 in consensus rankings, running back 12 for you. Ryan McDowell pointed out that RJ Harvey has the most top 12 scoring running back weeks of all the rookie running backs this season.
Wow. Yeah, it's like one at a time, like one every month, but I believe this is just the trend that's going to keep going. Last week was a season high, 20.2 expected half PPR points. This month, he's a running back 7 in usage. He gets like 1 or 2 manufactured touches, like from Sean Payton, and then Bo Nix hits him with like 3 or 4 more checkdowns. So he's just like peppered with targets. He's going to be the goal line back most likely this month. The Broncos are actually first in running back usage as a team, and we just didn't see as much Tyler Bidet and Jaleel McLaughlin last week. So I feel good about this. And on top of that, the Packers are a very challenging defense, but teams are trying to run the ball against them. Devontae Wyatt, the defensive tackle, is on injured reserve right now. So don't love the team total, but RJ Harvey is playing a lot of snaps and he catches a lot of passes.
And getting almost all the goal line stuff now, too, which is quite important. On the opposite end, you have Josh Jacobs. This is at the Denver defense. Packers are expected to win this one by 2.5. Josh Jacobs, I don't think was practicing on Wednesday, but that's probably kind of commonplace for a veteran presence like him. We've seen him not practice all week and then line up on Sundays.
Yeah, it just still reminds me like a total bulldozer, but his patience is awesome. The only thing I can say negatively here is the team total is a lot lower than it typically is. So it's under 23 points. That's closer to league average than where they have been, where they're like number one in a lot of like the EPA metrics right now. So going into Denver is never fun. In his last 4 healthy games, all of them without Tucker Kraft blocking, he's still averaging 15.8 half PPR points. So he's a borderline top 12 guy, even in the worst matchups, which I'll count this one.
All right, moving on. Javonte Williams. This is against the Minnesota Vikings. A team total 26.5. Projected win by 5.5. Talk to me about Javonte Williams here, because the last time we saw this team line up was Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, and he was fine. He kind of finished as a near top 12 guy. He's still the RB8 in usage. The Cowboys are still 6th in projected points. He has not had a massive game in a while, but I don't think that's impossible for him. Just did want to mention Vikings defensive line. It's a problem. They got legit defensive tackles. Van Ginkel is picking off passes again. So this is not an easy matchup for him, but the Cowboys are 6th in projected points.
Moving on, Woody Marks. Yes, the name that we said more than any other on the Start Sit show on Sunday morning. Hopefully you tune into that. Whenever that happens, I get super nervous. I mean, literally, we must have said his name 55 times during that episode. Yeah. He finishes the running back 14, which is fine. But that was 14.6 fantasy points that Woody Marks brought to your lineup. He's running back 20 in consensus rankings. So why are you ahead versus consensus when he faces the Arizona Cardinals here?
Well, I will say I did at one point have like Woody Marks like my running back 11, and I just like, all right, let's calm down just a second here. But Nick Chubb left with a ribs injury. He played 61 of 62 snaps without Nick Chubb. So if that's going to continue, and the Texans at least did sign somebody off of, or claim somebody off of waivers, so there's like some risk that Nick Chubb doesn't play here. And last week was a season high 22 expected points. I was in Kansas City in Arrowhead. He's actually the running back 10 in usage this month. Now, his efficiency is dreadful. We should expect it to be dreadful because I'm not even sure how good Woody Marks is. And I know how bad the offensive line is. But the Cardinals are equally as bad. And if first round defense tackle Walter Nolan's not going to play, we can see a game like Blake Corum just had where he's ripping off big plays. So the Texans are 7th in projected points this week. And if Nick Chubb doesn't play, and he is going to play 98% of the snaps, then I think I will have to move him up higher than this even.
Totally with you on all that. I mean, the Arizona Cardinals just looked abysmal on defense last week.
It's over.
I mean, absolutely abysmal. Okay, DeAndre Swift is next for you. He is the running back 16. Again, I'm calling these out. Running back 26 in consensus rankings. I get it that, we're facing the Cleveland Browns defense here. One, I'll say that Cleveland's defense is worse on the road. And actually, they've just been flat out worse against ball carriers since week 7 from Rich Rebar's worksheet. They've allowed 4.4 yards per carry to running backs. That's 18th, so league average. And then 108 yards per game. That's 22nd in the league. And that extends to explosive runs, allowing a run of 10 or more yards on 8.8 of those attempts. That's 21st. So we're going from one of the best to league average at best here for this run defense. And again, you can kind of point to a few weeks ago when we called out they lost Malik Collins along that defensive line.
That was what I was going to say. Yeah, Malik Collins is on injured reserve right now, so I think that's definitely part of that split. I just trust the Bears' offensive line right now. I know it's been way more 50-50 between Swift and Monangai, but Monangai I have ranked inside my top 30 as well. So the reality is the last couple games have been worse for DeAndre Swift, but since the bye, he's been awesome. Like this is kind of where he's ranked if you go all the way back to the bye. He's had at least 12 expected points in 6 of 7 games. Recently, he's a running back 17 across the entire season. So yeah, Monangai's playing a little bit more, but Swift in this matchup with game script hopefully on his side, I do think this should be like a kind of a buy low opportunity for DeAndre.
Okay, the people have been waiting because the running back 1 overall this season in points per game is your running back 17. This is at the Seattle Seahawks. You really hate Phillip Rivers, don't you?
I mean, hopefully you guys have a bye week. Jonathan Taylor hopefully got first or second place, and you don't have to, try to debate if Jonathan Taylor's going to be in or out of your lineup this week. So, I mean, the reality is, you said it. They're projected for 14.5 points. So I was looking at, here's some comps just recently. Breece Hall, he's the running back 35 this month. Quinshon Judkins is the running back 28. Ashton Jeanty is the running back 34. Those are the 3 running backs on teams also projected for about 2 touchdowns right now. Is Jonathan Taylor better than all those guys? Yes. Do I maybe trust Phillip Rivers more than Kenny Pickett, Brady Cook, and Shedeur Sanders? I think I do. But that was a lot of RB 30s. So I don't know, man. I'm curious where the underdog lobby is going to have Jonathan Taylor at, but I think he's like a boom bust running back 2. And I hope he can pull it off. And I just really hope that you guys have a bye week, because I don't know what to do with him. Where would you rank him?
I think this is fair. I mean, you just look over the last 3 weeks, which, by the way, was with Daniel Jones, and they faced Kansas City's defense, Houston's defense, and Jacksonville's defense. And Seattle is right up there, if not better than all of those other than Houston, potentially. That was running back 26, 19, and 20 on the week. So
I didn't even mention Seattle.
Right.
Seahawks.
Right. Now, Phillip Rivers, I did go back and watch his full introductory press conference, and he basically said, we're going to have to run the ball and play good defense, and I don't want any part of throwing the ball.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. I hear you. He's going to get the rock a ton, but I don't know, man. This one's tough. I think it's about right, though.
Well, right after him is TreVeyon Henderson, running back 18 against the Buffalo Bills here. He split time with Ramondre Stevenson prior to the bye. How do you think this backfield is going to unfold here against a Bills defense that has been less than stellar, but then overall the New England Patriots rushing game has been less than positive as well?
They've been just rotating these guys on the same drive. So I think they have different types of runs they want to get to. It's not like drive by drive or some strict, he plays third downs, this is his first and second downs. I just think they're going to use these guys interchangeably and just use them differently. The reality is their offensive line is just terrible right now. So, and TreVeyon needs the big play, because I'm just not sold that he's going to be the goal line back. And the Patriots score a lot of their points from 35 yards out, because just all of a sudden the ball is right in the lap of Kayshon Boutte for a long touchdown with Drake May. So yeah, we talked about it's strength versus strength, weakness versus weakness. I don't know what's going to win out here. If I were calling the plays for the Patriots, I would just try to use the drop back game and say Drake May is better than the Bills defense, but who knows? He reminds me of Raheem Mostert, which he had up and down moments, and I think that's what TreVeyon Henderson's going to be right now.
I think unquestionably the stats are in, and that he's just a better runner than Ramondre Stevenson. Out of 41 running backs with 100 plus runs, Henderson is averaging 4.8 yards per carry, 9th in the league. Stevenson's at 3.2 yards per carry, which I think is 35th. Ramondre's failed to gain yards on 26% of his runs, 39th in the league. Henderson's at 14%. That's 11th in the league. So yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping the blocking is good enough. Obviously, no left tackle, and I think their left guard is also out. I could be wrong with that. Yeah. But they need to get to the second level of this Bills defense, because constantly when you're watching these really successful rushing attacks against the Bills, it's because the linebackers can't get off blocks, the safeties get locked up as well. And if that's the case, if we can get Hendo to the second level, he has so much of a better chance to me of being a successful runner in this game in terms of big plays than Ramondre Stevenson does.
I agree with that. I just don't think that TreVeyon has the body type and the well-rounded skill set yet to be given the bell cow workload. So I was just looking back at Ohio State, the most touches he's had in an entire season was at 210. He was always a kind of committee back at Ohio State. So even if they don't love Ramondre, I think just to kind of keep TreVeyon upright and make sure he's not blowing pass protection stuff, they're going to still use a 1-2 punch, regardless if TreVeyon or Ramondre is better on a per touch basis.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying even on 15 touches, and this is why he's running back 18 for you, I think TreVeyon Henderson has a decent shot of having a really, really successful season or successful week on top of that. All right, we'll move on. Next is Ken Walker. He's your running back 19. It didn't matter that he got more work than basically ever in the first half in terms of percentage, because the Seattle Seahawks, that was the half where they scored just 6 points in total.
I know I hate even talking about this because the underlying metrics indicate that things are on the up and up, but I'm not going to convince anybody that has Kenneth Walker that that's the case. But if you were curious, 67% of the snaps before the fourth quarter in the last couple games. And this week, the Seahawks are third in projected points. The Colts right now don't have DeForest Buckner. They don't have the cornerback 1 or the cornerback 2 right now. And they got Phillip Rivers, a grandpa, on the other side. So they should win this game handedly. But he's the running back 28 per game on the season. So it's a fantastic spot for him, but versus the baseline, I can only rank him so aggressively.
Okay, Rico Dowdle is your running back 20. Oh, so last time the Panthers faced the Saints, I think the backfield was really stuck in the mud. They couldn't get to the second level. They couldn't really rush. Saints, I actually believe, are a really solid defense overall, but this backfield prior to the bye combined for 39 touches. 20 of those went to Rico. I think 19 went to Chuba. So how are you expecting it to unfold here against the Saints this time?
They ran the ball so much that game that I think they had to give Chuba some carries, but for the most of the game, it was a lot more Rico until Chuba kind of took over really late in that game. I think Rico's probably still more likely to have the short yardage role, the goal line stuff over Chuba Hubbard, but it will be a committee. Had to fully reset Rico Dowdle's rankings. This is where Chuba Hubbard was kind of ranking when he was the lead back last year. It's kind of in this running back 20 area. So I think that's about right. Team total is okay at 21 and a quarter points. So yeah, I think he's going to have to win the hot hand to finish better than this. But the next couple of guys are on teams that are beyond miserable or in full blown committee profiles on teams that aren't going to be so run committed as the Panthers.
Like with all split backfields, when the Panthers win, a split backfield is more likely to hit, so they just have to win this game. And then Rico Dowdle, I think, will be a fantasy asset if they do. It's really that simple. Okay. Quinshon Judkins is your running back 21. This is at the Chicago Bears. 1.9 yards per carry for Quinshon last week. He also just lost his center to injured reserve. The Bears, on top of that, despite how porous their defense has been, have not allowed a 100-yard rusher since week 5. So the formula is not formulating for Quinshon here at Chicago.
Fourth lowest projected points on the week for the Browns, and it's a backup at left tackle, now center, right guard, and right tackle. It's the offense just makes too many mental mistakes, including Quinshon, obviously the famous or infamous 2-point conversion attempt. He still has a lot of juice, so I do think that he has the ability to rip off a big play. Jerome Ford went to injured reserve. I should expect Dylan Sampson to inherit whatever Jerome Ford had, which was not a whole lot. But Quinshon's been the running back 28 on running back 22 usage this month. He's more of an upside flex than some guaranteed RB2 at this point.
Ashton Jeanty, running back 22 at the Philadelphia Eagles. What is there left to say? Even last week, he caught 2 of 4 targets. So we didn't even get a chance to basically get his usage in the passing game on top of it. And now he gets Kenny Pickett against a defensive line that is probably going to destroy him. Anything you want to add here about Ashton Jeanty?
Revenge game for Kenny Pickett with the Eagles. Yeah, I mean, what is there to say? If you have Ashton Jeanty and you're in the consolation bracket, it's time to go outside. For Jeanty this week, I have nothing good to say except that he's just not coming off the field, but they're projected for under 14 points as a team. So it's over.
Okay. Next, you have both Giants running backs. So slightly ahead, Devin Singletary, then Tyrone Tracy. Again, you are higher than consensus on Singletary, running back 33 for them, running back 23 for you. This is against the Washington Commanders. Do we know if Tyrone Tracy is in or out? Because the last time we saw him, he was being carted off the field.
Yeah, it was that hip injury. Don't know. I'm assuming that he's going to play. Just wanted to mention quickly, the Giants are 12th in EPA per play this season. Isn't that crazy? 12th, despite all of the injuries that they've had. That's exciting. Their ground game's been a lot better. In the last 5 games without Cam Scadaboo, the Giants pretty much even between Singletary and Tyrone Tracy. Devin Singletary 11.4 expected points, Tyrone Tracy at 10.6. This week, Commanders, they've pretty much given up. They're really slow and bad on defense, and the Giants projected 24 points at home. So This is not a bad offense. This is actually a good offense, an above average offense. And if Jackson Dart isn't going to get quarterback design rushes, then there's just a better chance that Devin Singletary is the guy to score the goal line touchdowns, because he's been used ahead of Tyrone Tracy for most of the time. So I do think that Devin Singletary's like touchdown odds are much higher than you would think. And then Tyrone Tracy's been pretty solid throughout. And they kind of use these guys interchangeably before the bye. So I'll have more on Tyrone Tracy's injury, but just wanted to give a big shout out to the Giants offense. It's actually like a legit average offense right now.
And Washington ranks about 25th in any defensive rushing metric you want to look at out there. Okay. Now, I will say, if Tyrone Tracy is healthy, which it sounded like he was after that game, he was playing quite a bit prior to that injury and playing quite well. I'm not saying in that singular game, but like the three before.
In general, yeah.
Yes. So that always spices things up.
They've changed how they deploy those two backs, which makes it difficult to rank one versus the other. Just they're projected for 24 points, so maybe both can get home.
Aaron Jones is your running back 25. Talk about a team who just changed how they deploy those running backs. It was drive for drive. And I would say Dallas is not the easiest team to run on. And also the Vikings are underdogs here on the road in Dallas.
Yeah. Aaron Jones is definitely more of a flex play at this point. He's running back 34 in usage this month. Quarterback play has been highly inconsistent or just consistently bad, however you want to spin that. But yeah, the big news was they rotated drives last week, and they had not been doing that. There's been a lot more Aaron Jones than Jordan Mason until last week. And I think that was a calculated decision where they kind of abandoned trying to pass the ball. It was like a lot more early down runs. And then JJ McCarthy was able to hit tight ends over the middle after running the ball. And that's probably the formula that they think is best here. Now you have a Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark and others up front. And their linebackers are maybe a little bit better now. So it's not an easy matchup. They're only projected for 21 points. So yeah, that's that.
Next is Omarion Hampton. The rookie returned on Monday Night Football, put in, a decent, let's say, fantasy performance at 13.7. That was aided by a short reception touchdown. This week, I would say the strengths of the Kansas City Chiefs line up with the weaknesses here of the LA Chargers. I mean, they are on the road in Kansas City, a 1:00 game projected for fewer than 19 points and 4.5-point road underdogs. Hampton in a lot of those runs didn't have many spaces to attack. And we just saw Chris Jones take over a game. And I would say the backup to the backup to the backup offensive tackles and then the chosen interior offensive linemen aren't going to have maybe much of a chance here against these downhill aggressive Chiefs defenders.
Yeah. I mean, they don't have a chance defending Chris Jones or blocking Chris Jones this week. So I'm guessing Hampton's going to play a little bit more than Kamani Vidal, but at the same time, Hampton got murked in pass protection, and now you got Steve Spagnuolo, who's going to keep testing both backs because Kamani Vidal is about this big, and Hampton's a rookie who just got ran over. So I think you're going to see a bunch of nickel blitzes, linebackers blitzing, and it's just going to be hell for the entire Chargers offense. So not surprised to see that they have the 7th lowest team total of the week. I do think that Hampton's so damn fast that he can still rip off a big play, but that's going to help him out like once every 3 games and not like every single week. And I do think Kamani Vidal has been good enough where he's not going to see 80% of the snaps anytime soon.
I had the same thing written down that protecting Justin Herbert will be a big deal here because we've seen Steve Spagnuolo's target running backs who can't pass protect. And like you said, that led to Kamani Vidal seeing a lot more snaps, albeit not a lot more touches than Omarion Hampton last week. Breece Hall owns the Jets backfield, but he'll be sharing it with Brady Cook at the Jacksonville Jaguars. And at the same time, he was also held out of practice here on Wednesday, along with Tyrod Taylor, along with Justin Fields, with knee soreness. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I wonder how sore that knee is. Breece, I wouldn't blame you if the knee was too sore to play in this one. I mean, they're projected for 14 points. Brady Cook he went undrafted, right? I'm pretty sure he did. If he did get drafted, he shouldn't have been. They just have no chance at this point. I trust the offensive line, but everything else is just a total disaster. And Jacksonville's been so opportunistic on defense, and they can do some funky stuff defensively that I would worry that Brady Cook's just going to turn the ball over too much and just going to be a punt fest. So he's been the running back 21 per game across the entire season. And I think this looks significantly worse before the game starts than the rest of the season has.
Okay, this is where you have Kyle Monangai. I think you could argue maybe it's a bit low, but I understand.
Start sliding. Where would you feel comfortable? Right? Aaron Jones?
These aren't my rankings. These are your rankings.
Well, this is our show.
This is against the Cleveland Browns. We've talked about it. It is basically drive by drive, and that has led to some games that Kyle Monangai just simply outscoring DeAndre Swift, and it's obviously the opposite too. I wouldn't be surprised that against this Cleveland defense, if Ben Johnson is just like, hey man, we're really going to rely on this running game and not really go by the high variances, especially with that Rome Odunze of the passing attack.
Yeah, it's pretty much like the same notes as DeAndre Swift because they pretty much use these guys interchangeably. Just wanted to say Monangai this month is the running back 21 on running back 29 usage. Yeah, I think that this is still probably a net negative matchup in general because it is the Browns, but this is where he's been producing like for quite a while.
Fellas, we know this Saturday is the last time ahead of every single one of your Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays are accounted for. So go and do something special for your significant other before every other weekend is accounted for. This is your last opportunity to do it. And if you're fully out of ideas, I'll direct you to the SeatGeek app because it tells you tons of events in your area. For me, I can look at this and see Breaking Benjamin concert in my area. Man, that song and the Halo 2 soundtrack, I think it was like Blow Me Away. Magnificent stuff. Or Chevelle. Look, maybe we got some real heavy metal couples out there. Chevelle the Red was an anthem in varsity football for me in the locker room. And of course, I have a code for you guys. You can use code FANTASY10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That is 10% off any tickets, whether you're a new customer or old, with promo code FANTASY10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek. Well, Chris Rodriguez is next, running back 29 at the New York Giants. This is a good offensive line, I would say, versus a terrible run defense. And Chris Rodriguez, as long as you can stay in positive game script, is owning this backfield. Just don't go down by a touchdown because here comes Jerry McNichols and C-Rod is unusable in passing situations, basically.
Yeah, the Giants just fired their assistant defensive line coach over a disagreement over an, quote, altered airplane seating arrangement. So, I mean, they just fired their DC. Now the defensive line coach is out of there. This is an eruption spot for Chris Rodriguez. Like, no question about it. He's going to have Marcus Mariota. He's the goal line back. Bill only played in the second half when they're down 1 million points. So it's all Chris Rodriguez. So how high could you rank Chris Rodriguez in a no doubt about it eruption spot? I'll go with running back 29.
Kenny Gainwell and Jalen Warren are next. And actually, Kenny Gainwell ranks slightly ahead of Jalen Warren as running back 30 and 31. Why?
Kenny Gainwell had one of the most fascinating games last week in that he only ran the ball just a couple times, but they happened to be near the goal line. And what they kept doing is Rodgers, I guarantee, absolutely loves Kenny Gainwell, and same thing with Arthur Smith, because they would keep audibling things at the line of scrimmage to get Kenny Gainwell reception. So they ran the same exact screen where he was like lining up where, you know, how CMC kind of lines up like way behind where like the tight end would line up. And they would throw a stupid little screen out there. They did it 3 times. And they also gave him 2 jet sweep receptions in pony personnel where he was kind of the slot option as well. So it was like a really funky game plan, but Rodgers was like celebrating like a madman every single time Kenny Gainwell had the ball. And he has a 27% targets per route on the entire season, which is basically in line with what you would expect a wide receiver 1 to have. So there's something to this one. He's been the running back 12 in usage this month. So I do think that he's a real flex play, even if his touches are pretty limited.
David Montgomery ranks as your running back 32. You know, typically in games where the lines are projected for 25 points, we'd be okay with playing Dave Montgomery. My concern here is they should be trailing. I mean, they're underdogs by 5.5 here. And we have seen when the Lions are chasing points that they just heavily go in the direction of Jahmyr Gibbs there.
Yeah. Montgomery is the running back 49 in usage this month. He had like the explosive touchdown last week.
The Lions have been losing a lot of games recently.
Right. So I think that he's more of a touchdown or bust flex play. He's only projected for 47.5 total yards in the pick and lobby, which feels right to me. But yeah, this is not like running back 20 version of David Montgomery where we are ranking him forever with Jahmyr Gibbs. Now it's like Jahmyr Gibbs is the RB1 or 2, and now David Montgomery is the running back 30. And that's just been the split since Dan Campbell's kind of taken over, and the interior offensive line's not quite as good as it once was. And I think that's one reason why they get Gibbs off the edge. You talked about running behind Penny Sewell rather than David Montgomery running inside zone and duo up the middle.
Here's Kareem Hunt, running back 33 against the LA Chargers. Hayden, if league scoring was first down conversions, where would Kareem Hunt rank?
Well, I can give you the short yardage success rate to give you a serious answer real quick. Kareem Hunt is third at 70%. So about there. The only reason why I ranked him a lot lower this week, one, the offensive line injuries, where I'm not expecting the left tackle to return. Hopefully, or he's for sure out, but I think that the right guard and right tackle are also going to be out. But Isaiah Pacheco played a lot of the first quarter, and then it went back to Kareem Hunt. That just like makes me a little bit nervous because before that it was like all Kareem Hunt. So if we start chopping off 25% of the touches, there's not much room for error at this point with Kareem Hunt. So touchdown or bust.
Blake Corum all the way down at running back 34. I mean, why should Blake Corum be ranked behind Dave Montgomery if to me he's going to touch the football more?
I still think there's a chance that David Montgomery gets like a goal line opportunity, like kind of just like subbed in down there. But I hear you. Do you think he's more likely to rip off a big play? Probably.
Yeah.
I'm down to flip it.
Well, I mean, I just want confidence in this. It's not just down. It's like, I feel good.
Okay. I'll hit you with the stat. Right now, the Rams have a 52% rushing success rate. That is the best of the decade for running backs only. The other best offense was the 2018 Todd Gurley Rams with Sean McVay, which is at 50%. So it's like 2 percentage points better than that. Blake Corum's been a big part of that. Let's move him up a little bit. Let's move him. Let's actually do this. Let's put him right ahead Kenny Gainwell. We'll go in that tier, right next to eruption spot Chris Rodriguez.
There we go. Yeah, we don't want to jump on Chris Rodriguez party here. No, that's for sure. Okay, next, Devin Neal against the Carolina Panthers. He has owned over 70%, if not 80% of the backfield touches in the last 3 games. I will say in the game before that, Alvin Kamara went off against these Carolina Panthers. So I do wonder if at home, despite being underdogs, if Devin Neal could have a sneaky performance here.
Possibly so. I don't know when Alvin Kamara is coming back. I think this is like the first week where there's a chance
he's returns. In Cabo already.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. The zone read stuff makes me nervous with Tyler Shuck now because now we're like losing Taysom Hill and now Tyler Shuck down there. I really appreciate Devin Neal. I think he does like everything kind of like by the textbook. He is also just so slow. Like watch him try to like bounce it to the outside. He just like does not have that much juice right now. So last week, 12.8 expected half PPR points. This month as a starter, he's the running back 30 on 31 usage. Yeah, it's still just kind of a mess with the Saints blocking up front. So many injuries. Like Fuaga has been in and out of the lineup recently. All their interior players are banged up. So, yeah, he's doing his best.
Chuba Hubbard. We already talked about Rico Dowdle. Anything you want to add here about Chuba, who I believe Dave Canales has said that the early down stuff will go to Rico. We've gotten Chuba mixed in with the passing game, and then we'll just go from there based on the hot hand. I don't know if it's going to be that binary, but, Chuba is a lot healthier than he was when he first came back from the calf injury, and now you have a bye week on top of it.
Yeah, I don't really have more notes beyond that. Yeah.
That works. Tony Pollard.
Dude, unbelievable.
Literally, we got message of just when I dropped Tony Pollard, he goes for 140 yards and 2 scores and whatever it was. Do you think Tony Pollard will match those totals for the rest of the season combined?
That's a very good question. What was so fascinating about it is nothing changed with Tony Pollard last week. In fact, Tyjae Spears touched the ball the same amount as Tony Pollard in the first half. It was just like the 2 huge plays. In the 7 games before that, he had between 4.5 and 9 half PPR points, and then he goes off for 28. So you can't expect that to keep happening. That's fantasy football for you. That sums it up. That's why you can never say things in absolutes in this industry. Anything is possible any given Sunday. But even with it, he's still the running back 26 and running back 35 usage over the course of the month. And he's not doing 28 half PPR points again.
On the road at San Francisco, the spread is 12.5 points. The Titans only project for 16. I mean, you couldn't get a worse
I know it's tough
running back environment than that. Okay. We got a whole bunch of running back twos here to close things out. Zach Charbonnet, Jordan Mason, and Tyler Algier close out the top 40. Final notes on those dudes?
I want Ramondre over Algier if you can.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get Ramondre in there just because I think he's got a.
Oh no, you're right. I just had it incorrect.
Last thing I wanted to say is I'm waiting for more information on Bam Knight, Michael Carter, because Amari DiMercado was at least limited the week prior, and if that goes to 3 running backs in Arizona, that's really tough because they're not expected to score very many points. And the Cardinals just placed Paris Johnson. He's going to be out week to week with the MCL injury. Will Hernandez and Jonah Williams are already on injured reserve. So that's like the 3 linemen that you probably have heard about on the Cardinals offensive line, all out, and they face the Texans. So I've kind of talked up Bam Knight every once in a while on the show, not this week, especially if DiMercado is back, but pretty flat tier, like between like running back, 28 to 40. Those are like all RB2s that are like legitimately getting touches. Any one of those guys could kind of pop off for a big game. So I think those guys are like your flex options for the week.
All right. My favorite picks on Underdog among the running back position. We'll do a tight zoom in there. Bijan Robinson, higher 36.5 receiving yards. Get that one in before Thursday Night Football. Then Saquon Barkley higher than 17.5, his longest rush. Again, Raiders love to try to load the box, get single high. All he has to do is like break one person, and then hopefully he can get out in space and get a long run. I know he hasn't had many 20-yard runs this season, or don't even need a 20-yarder. We just need a 17.5-yarder. That's all we need. So once again, support us by playing on Underdog. Click link in the description, promo code the show. Play $5 your first time, and we'll throw $75 in bonus cash in your direction.
No Chris Rodriguez in the pick'em lobby. No Devin Singletary. I mean, Devin.
I looked at Singletary. It's just touchdown stuff, and I was nearly taking it, but I don't know. Rodriguez is up at 51.5 rushing yards, 12.5 attempts.
Okay.
But guess what? His rushing yards and his total yards are the exact same thing. So that shows you how much of a zero he is.
No, and it should be that way.
Maybe it should be 1 yard less in the receiving game.
Now that would be good. That would be
a great bet. Okay. That does it. Ooh, I kind of like 10.5 first quarter rushing yards. If you think they're going to get
for C-Rod.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah, 22.5 first half yards.
Do your own research, chat. How about that? And we just know it's an eruption spot for Chris Rodriguez.
22.5 first half rushing yards. Maybe we'll take that as well. All right. There it is. Again, play on Underdog and support us. We'll be back here on Friday and Saturday with wide receivers and tight ends. Any just overall closing thoughts here on Thursday Night Football, pass catchers, tight ends, quarterbacks, since we are the first round of the fantasy playoffs here? The Falcons, they have none of those. So,
no, you can't play any.
I mean, well, if Kyle Pitts does play, I actually really do think you should be playing Kyle Pitts as a top 12 option at tight end. Again, we talked about the linebacker depth with the Bucs, and they've been just brutal at defending tight ends all season long. And then at wide receiver for the Bucs, I did see on Underdog that they tweeted out that Mike Evans has a higher projected total than Emeka Egbuka this week.
So I have Kyle Pitts as my tight end 3 right now. He's projected for 58.5 receiving yards. I'm assuming he's fully healthy. So let's get that out of the way. But I have him right next to Brock Bowers. Like I was kept debating Pitts or Bowers. And then I agree with the pick'em lobby. I was going to rank Mike Evans and then Emeka Egbuka and then Chris Godwin, but none of them like super high. I think that Mike Evans probably has the most upside, and then hopefully Emeka can catch the football this time around. But I think that Chris Godwin's going to be used underneath as like the third option. No Cade Otton. I guess that matters for somebody.
Hayden, I got bad news.
What?
Chris Rodriguez doesn't practice Wednesday with a groin issue.
Oh my God. Is this going to be Bill off the trash heap for eruption spot,
Oh, man.
it's over for me.
All right.
Tragic.
Well, we'll just redo the entire show. So
Yeah.
void it
fun
from
while
your
it
memory.
lasted.
There we go. All right, everyone. We'll be back here again Friday and Saturday with 2 more ranking shows up the velo. We'll talk to y'all soon. See ya.